All right, we're live. Oh, the laptop is dead, but don't worry about it, Kip.
I
If you,
like where it froze at. Look at the
well,
face.
he won't be able to see us though,
But look at the face it froze on. That is funny.
right?
Can you see me on the big camera?
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
you on the big camera, and we can still hear you, and you're not frozen anymore.
Hey, whoa, hey, whoa, hey, whoa, hey.
Right?
Maybe it's back. It feels like it's back.
It
Hey,
is.
Tim, how you doing, man?
Yeah, we're
Hey,
good.
Drew, what's up, man?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Base Wars. As you see, we have Kip from Kicker on tonight with us. We appreciate everybody for tuning in.
Yeah. So, Kip, what's that you got in front of you? What is that?
Well, I'm going to have fun tonight because I'm going to go from this camera to this camera and then back to this camera. So I'm at this camera now. So as all of you saw, how many in the group, just a quick question, how many people in here tuned into the show Friday night and saw the release? A lot of you? I'm just waiting to see if someone answers.
Right.
I know Drew was there.
Yeah. I think, well, a lot of these guys, I think they may have been headed to Midwest. I don't know if they're
So they
watching.
may not have been here.
Yeah, Tim, Jordan.
Jordan, yep. James.
Yeah, there's Drew. He was. I know Drew was here. He was chomping at the bit. Drew was like, as soon as you guys even show the driver, I've got my screen captures ready to go tell people about it. So I know Drew was here.
Right.
So, this is kind of fun. I can look at this screen, and then I come over and look at this screen. I'm going to lose my mind. Don't worry about it, though. There's not much left. So, for those of you that hopefully tuned in Friday night, welcome back. For those of you who didn't tune in Friday night, this may be a little surprise for you to see. You've probably heard some from your friends already. But Friday night, Kicker, we did announce that we are bringing back, and I hate to call it the Solo X because we're not bringing the Solo X back, although the name is there. It's actually called the L7X. And if you saw the little fun that John Myers had with it, this right here is an original Solo X. So this is the big bad boy that everyone loved back in the day, of course, with the removable spare parts assembly, which spare meant for simple pull apart insertable replacement. This is what you'd replace after you take one out. And then, of course, I've seen them out there, so I know I've seen a lot of Frankenwoofers out there where people are simply knocking this off and reusing the motor on the back. But this is the original Solo X. And a lot of you may or may not have heard the story about this, but basically this was a groundbreaking woofer in its time. To hear the love that people have and even the respect for this motor today, and it's 20 years old, the technology in here, that's pretty amazing. So we got out of this game back in 06, started to, as you know, 2006, 2008, the economy kind of started running away and hiding from everyone. The interest in competitions, which back in that day was really sound quality focused, with SPL being a portion of it. Not saying that there weren't a lot of SPL shows, but I don't think they were as strong, as prevalent as they are today. But when the market hid, we as a company had to make a lot of smart business decisions, and we stopped manufacturing this product along with the Warhorse amplifier because there just wasn't much market for it. So this is the original one. Everyone talks about it. If you are asked Bill Brown what's the #1 requested product to bring back from Kicker, he'll tell you #1 is Solo X and #2 is Warhorse. So I'm going to take this one, set it off the side.
Have that recone?
They have 12s, I think.
Do what?
You guys have some 12s, don't you? Recon?
Yeah.
I said, can I have that recone?
Hey, RVH, I am working overtime, but when you're having this much fun, does it really work?
Right.
So I'm just blessed to work for a company that lets us do this kind of stuff. So that's the great thing about it. So I put the old Solo X on the ground. And if you see me struggle, it's not a game. The new one weighs about twice as much as the old one, so it's much heavier. So this is what we revealed on Friday night to the world. And if you were there, this is obviously nothing new to you. But if you weren't there on Friday night, here it is.
Yeah, it's a little bigger.
Well, since you said that.
Yeah.
So there, I got them both up on the table. You seeing them both?
Yeah, we see them. Yeah.
Okay, so that's both of them side by side. So this is the X, and this is the new L7X. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one off. You've seen them side by side. But I'm gonna pull this back up here. This is the spare assembly, which is obviously your surround, your cone, your voice coil, your spider assembly, and then I'm gonna go ahead and pull the one out. Yes, just like the old Solo X was field replaceable, the new L7X is going to be field replaceable as well. No glue, no grinding, no anything. You will simply take the driver out of your enclosure, the mounting ring on the front here, you'll take the mounting hardware off of this, and it's all threaded. And what's cool about this is an aluminum basket where everywhere it's threaded, it's not just tapped aluminum. There's actually helicoils in there. So it's going to be for long life. So you can take screws in and out, not worry about it. And then from the bottom, and if you look into the landing, the spider landing, you'll see there's brass inserts in there as well. So once you put this back together, you actually run screws from the bottom up into the spider landing and screws from the top down. No gluing, no grinding, complete rebuild right there. And if we put these two side by side, I think you can see pretty obvious in the roll and everything else, it's a substantially improved driver. I mean, the magnet there was having some fun.
Yeah.
But a lot of people looked at this on Friday night, and I think they were expecting some kind of super woofer that was beyond the L7 or the original Solo X. This L7X is beyond what the original Solo X driver was. You're looking at this in the 10, 12, and 15. It's going to have over 3 inches of mechanical, or 3 inches of X-Max. Mechanical is actually a little more than that, but it's substantially more throw. And you can tell just from looking at the rolls in the surround and how tall it is, the difference in that.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, it is substantial. So this on the old Solo X had the push terminals right here, so you could go into the coils. It was a spring-loaded binding post push terminals. That's what was used for the connection systems on the 10 and the 12. Now the larger 18 had the big binding post connection system on it, but that wasn't available on the 10 and 12. So this is the old one. You know, it's kind of funny. We joke that we always keep old stuff around so we can compare it. That's actually a driver out R&D. And then as you can see from here on the new L7X, it goes to our new square push button binding terminal. So you can go in with compression on the terminal if you want, but then also on here is a connection strip or a block that will hold up to 8 gauge wire. And it's got 2 connections. So you could come in with 8 gauge, come out with 8 gauge on the other side to go to the next coil. You could come in with 2 pieces of 8 gauge if you feel so inclined. The power ratings on this, we did solidify those last week. It's going to be a 2,000 watt RMS subwoofer. We don't see any reason to be able to bring anything larger than an 8 gauge wire into this. If you're crazy, bring 2 8 gauge wires into this. And if you're a lunatic, bring in 4 gauge and go to a 4 gauge to 8 gauge adapter.
Right.
It is dual voice coil. What we've kind of set on now is we know we're going to do it in a dual 1 and a dual 2. That's confirmed. Will we do other impedances? We don't know. I think it will kind of depend on once these get out in the field and people use them, if there's demand for a higher impedance or a lower impedance, we might look into it. But as it sits right now, we're just going to do dual 1 and dual 2. And this spare assembly will be available for purchase as you see it, so that not if you cook one, but when you cook one, because if I tell you guys you can't break this, you'll do it just to challenge me. But when you take one out, you don't have to worry about shipping or doing anything with the big heavy motor structure. You're just going to buy one of these or get one and replace it with it. You'll be good to go.
Cool. Now, the Recons, that'll be sold. Will that be sold through the normal dealer network? So any Kicker dealer that willing to carry the inventory,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. So they'll be readily available, huh?
Yes, they will be readily available through any Kicker network. Now, the thing is, I can't tell you that every Kicker dealer is going to carry Solo X. It's their choice if they want to carry Solo X, but any Kicker dealer has access to it. So it's not like we're going to prevent a Kicker dealer from having access to the Solo X line.
Yeah. I guess you saw we lost your laptop, huh?
I did. I'm going to see if it'll come back in because it lets me. It's nice to look over and see. If it doesn't come back, I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, we got you.
So this is the soft parts assembly, which is a surround. Now, if you tuned in Friday night, John did kind of talk over the map on this. This is a double pressed pulp paper cone. If you look at the front, and then hopefully you can see a good view on the back. It's as pretty on the back as it is on the front. It's a uniform cone design because it's double pressed, meaning it's pressed on both sides. A lot of these drivers, you may see them, they're made out of pressed pulp paper. The back is very hodgepodge. It's almost like mastic-y looking. It's because it's a single press. It's not a double press pulp paper cone. This gives you more uniformity. Some people, it may not matter, but to us it does, because a more uniform cone thickness means more uniform frequency response and resonance off the cone. This is going to be capable of a lot of output, but it's designed to be a kicker driver. It's also going to be musical. It's not just something that's made to move air, although it's going to move a ton of it. Anything with over 3 inches of travel is going to give you a ton of air movement. So that's that part there. The surround itself, we are still, I know Jimmy already asked the question, when's it going to be available? And of course, Friday night, we already talked about, it's going to be first or second quarter of this coming year, 2021. And that's the products we normally show at SEMA. There's still some things that are up in the air. Aaron, Jeremy, myself, Steve Irby, the whole team of us, we've been listening to prototype samples for months, making tunings and changings and things like that. We don't know if we're going to stay with the foam surround. We don't know if we're going to go to a different blend of polyether or polyester. We don't know if we're going to go to Santoprene on this. We are literally still listening to and evaluating, running Klippel measurements, doing long-term durability tests. So we don't know if we're staying foam. If we stay foam, we don't know if we're going straight polyether, if we're going straight polyester. We actually have some samples coming in, which is a polyether polyester blend, because when you get into a foam surround this thick, it's not one layer. This is actually 3 layers of foam compressed together. So you can actually start experimenting, but layer 1 might be a certain millage of polyether, layer 2 could be a certain millage of polyester, and then layer 3 could be another layer of polyether. And it's all about strength and reliability and resonance and free air and how it sounds. And we're literally still in the making up our mind stages on that. So is it going to be foam? Is it going to be Santoprene, polyether, polyester, a blend? We don't know the answer to those questions yet. We just know that we got to make them pretty quick because we want this driver. Steve Irby would like to see this driver available in the first quarter, if at all possible. So Jimmy, if that gives you a little better, firmer suggestion, that's Steve's drive, as we're trying to shoot for end of quarter 1 with this a beauty right here.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then when you get into the motor, obviously you can probably tell from the camera, this is a triple stacked ferrite magnet system. This is not Neo, but you never know. Maybe we'll make a Neo.
Right.
And then when you get inside, this is still a prototype. So as you can tell, I think you can tell from the camera, that pole piece, we call it hyper extended. And I think if you look in there, I'll use my finger as a gauge. That pole piece is sticking off the top plate that far. It is a huge, huge hyper-extended pole piece. And if you look, this one's actually bolted on. It's because we are literally trying different materials, whether we're going to go steel, whether we're going to go aluminum, whether we're going to go stainless. We're playing around with different materials to see how it affects everything. You start putting things like that in that, you can act like a shorting ring, which is both a good and a bad thing, depending on what you're looking for. Shorting rings can cause overabundance of heat if not done properly. So we're looking into all those things. So this is literally a test prototype unit. Once we decide what we're going to do, if we decide it's going to be steel, it'll be just one solid slug of steel. It won't be screwed on there or bolted on there. It'll just be a solid piece.
Now, what's the purpose of an extended pole piece like that?
2 things. The first thing is, when you look at how any speaker works, it's not just us. You've got your magnet sandwiched down here. You've got your back plate that's on the back side of the magnets. And then you got your pole piece. And then here's your top, your magnets, and there's your top plate. And basically, that completes the circuit. You've got your pole, your top plate, and your magnets, and that's your electrical circuit where the magnetic field can basically flux, connect itself. So what happens with an extended pole piece is 2 things. First one is, when you raise that pole, you're actually pulling the flux lines up. So if you could see, if you had a pole piece that was flush with your top plate, you'd have flux lines jumping back and forth like that. And as you start pulling your pole piece up, your flux lines will start jumping up. So it pulls flux from the top plate out into that open air up toward the top of the plate. So what it can do is, if you look at a BL curve on a Klippel, is it broadens or widens your BL curve so there's more control or more magnetic energy on the coil as it moves out of the top plate and gets into that gap where there is no top plate. So that's number one. Number two is heat. When you've got that voice coil sucking up, let's say you're going to throw 2,000 watts of power into this thing. I know everyone in this audience has looked inside a toaster when you're making Pop-Tarts, and you've seen that orange glow that's inside a toaster when you're making Pop-Tarts.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens with a voice coil in your speaker. And when you blow one up, it got too orange. But literally, your toaster, that's resistance in those wires. It's plugged into 120 volts AC, and that resistance is what creates heat, which makes your Pop-Tarts. So with the extended pole, what we're doing is when a voice coil is out there and there's no metal around the outside of it and there's no metal around the inside of it because of the pole, you're asking that voice coil to dissipate heat into open air. There's nothing there to pull the heat away but open air.
Right.
So by having a hyper-extended pole piece, besides pulling your magnetic flux lines up, which gives you more BL as you get out of the gap, or gives you a more consistent BL as you get out of the gap, it's still going to fall off, but it lets it stay more consistent for a longer time as it moves up. You're also having a slug of metal there that while that voice coil is up there, having 2,000 watts put into it, there's something there to soak some heat out of that voice coil.
Right.
It's pretty simple. It works just like that.
Well, yeah, cool.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you guys, are you getting a good view in that? Because I can kind of see what you're looking at.
Yeah, we can see it.
And then here's the back side. It is 3-inch coil. There'll be a 3-inch coil on the 10, the 12, and the 15. And these are going to be offered in 10, 12, and 15 to start on the Solo X. We might be working on other sizes to come, but right now, out of the gate, it'll be a 10, a 12, and a 15, dual 2 and dual 1 ohm. That's what's on our roadmap, at least.
Man, wow. Parallel that thing to a half ohm and go crazy, huh?
If you so are inclined for that, go for it. Now, go ahead. Do you have a question, Jimmy?
No, absolutely not. I'm good. Thank you.
So one of the things anyone who's owned an old Solo X is familiar with, that when you put that driver back together, if you burnt one, you had to replace the soft parts assembly, basically you pulled the spare out, and in the frame, the cast frame was a male pin, and then in the outer spare part was a hole, and that hole and that pin lined up on each other, and that was the alignment to make sure that the voice coil gap and spacing was set properly. It worked okay. It didn't work great. Some people would have to wiggle and move because there was some play in that, and everything comes into play as you make something over time, the tools start wearing out, so you get into wear. And the hole can be a little small or a little big, or the pin can be a little small or a little big. And so you get into issues where you're not always getting consistent spacing on the voice coil down into the gap. So in this revision, what we've come up with, John was much funnier with this than I will be. Although I will tell you, they do make great acupuncture needles. That was his take on it. But you're going to get a whole kit of these with the spare when you get it. And if you need to replace the driver, when you look on the back here, I'm going to spin this around for you guys. You'll notice that there's holes here in the back. Now, that's not just holes drilled in there for fun. The size of those, the placement of those, how much air we can force in and out of there, it's all had to been calculated and tried again, and experimentation to find the right amount of air velocity that we can move in and out through those holes so that we have great performance and also improved cooling. The other thing those holes are going to allow us to do is you'll take these pins and you'll insert those pins in. And if you'll notice, I'll spin it back around. You'll notice that pin I put in sticks itself to the pole. I mean, it's sucked right up against it. So what you'll do is you'll come in and you'll place all those pins into place. You'll then set the driver up with all the pins in it. And then when you take the spare and you slide it back down, all those pins basically are your shimming system to make sure you're getting this thing centered perfectly around the pole to keep all the distances the same. So you'll come down over those pins, and watch me not be able to do it because I'm an idiot. You'll do that. After you're on your shims, you'll tighten down the front, you'll tighten on the back, get it all torqued up, and then after it's all back together, you simply go on its side or whatever and pull the pin out. So it's a auto alignment pin shimming system, so you don't have to worry about gluing the dust cap, because now in any Woofer today, to do that, normally the dust cap is not glued on. You put in paper shims, cardboard shims, plastic shims, whatever you use to do your spacing. You get it shimmed, you do your gluing, you get it all set up. When that's all done and dry, you pull the shims out and glue your dust cap down. You don't have to do that with the L7X. You simply use the shimming pins in the back, and that is already attached. So it does a self-alignment right when you drop it into place.
Exactly, Drew. You read my mind. I thought the same thing.
What's that?
He was like, man, I'm excited to get my hand on 415s and get them in the nitro and doing 160.
I'll be all about that.
Right. So how many bolts or screws is it to change it? And the only reason I ask is I'm thinking timeline. How long would it take to change that, you think?
Sure. This piece right here, this is the front gasket or front mating ring that actually attaches the surround into here. And if you notice, I'm going to see if I can show this. Man, I don't know if it'll show up on camera or not. But basically, this area around here, it's not flat. This doesn't come up 90 degrees and turn. It's actually chamfered like this. Mm-hmm. And the back side of this surround is chamfered to mate. So when you put this into place, you've actually got two opposing chamfers that as you tighten down on them and pull down, it compresses itself together to hold itself in place. Does that make sense? Almost like a French cleat, if you're familiar with that term. Yes. The harder you push down on it, the tighter it presses to each other. So basically, once that's in place, you've got this front ring that goes in, and there's 2, 4, 6, 8 machine threaded inserts. And like I said, those are helicoils. That's not just threaded aluminum. That's a helicoil in the aluminum. So you're going to be able to take a bolt in and out many, many times and not wear the aluminum out. So you'll put this on, you'll run in the 8 screws here, and then on the back side, if I can get it around here, if you can see, there's 8 on the back side, 2, 4, 6, 8. And those go into the spider landing, and that's bolts that go into a threaded brass insert that is inside the mold for the spider landing, which is a reinforced polymer. So you're looking at 16 screws to put it back together. Take it apart and put it back together, 16 total. Yeah,
so fry one and go change it pretty quickly and back in the lane.
The cool part about this, and we wanted to stay with the concept we had done with the original Solo X, is that you don't have to scrape off any surround. You don't have to scrape off any spider. There's no glue there. You simply pull it out, drop another one in, and put the screws back in. So as quickly as you can take it out, remove the 16 screws, put the parts back in, put the 16 screws back in, and put it in, you're back and running. There's no waiting time for glue to dry or anything like that. You're ready to go immediately.
Sounds like 20 minutes after you've done it a time or two.
20 minutes.
Probably,
we can do that in 10.
Do what? You can do it in 10.
Do that in 10. I'll bet.
It's I know, the first thing about it is if I was going to go out and get into a bar fight, I'm going to find me a bunch of base heads to go with me, because I don't know a group of guys that look more low key than base heads, because they're lifting these things in and out of their cars all day long, changing and replacing them. They are secret bodybuilders in disguise.
Absolutely.
So what's that dust cap made out of?
Poly. It's not aluminum. It's a poly dust cap.
Yeah.
We have looked at different materials for the dust cap, and on this particular driver, we've landed on poly. And I said on this particular driver.
Right. Well.
Billy, you act like you might know something.
I see that you switched to a black coil there instead of the copper.
It's a blackened coil, but it is copper. And I'm trying to remember on this, Jimmy. I know we went both ways on this. We tried both. People have a tendency that they'll get stuck on technology and think that technology is what makes an entire woofer sound good or work well. And I can tell you here at Kicker, that's not the case. We've learned our lesson lots of ways. We used to use flat wound wire or edge wound wire on the original Solo X. We've used edge wound or flat wound wire on some of our other projects over the years. And there are pros and there are cons to flat wound or edge wound wire. Now, if you're trying to sell all the pros on edge wound or flat wound wire, you'll talk about how much more copper you can pack in the gap, because instead of round wire being packed around a voice coil like this, it's rectangular, so you can tighten it up and pack it in there tighter. Absolutely. The drawback to edge wound or flat wound wire is that as you heat up a voice coil and the adhesives that are used to bond that all together start heating up and outgassing, which they all do, in a flat wound or edge wound system, there's nowhere for the gas to go. It can't leak out. So what typically happens in those designs, if you get them hot, the gas will start pushing on the former and deforming the former, which will then start rubbing on your pole piece. So we're not anti-flat wound, we're not anti-edge wound. We've used it in different drivers over the years for different things. There have been cases where we need to get more copper in the gap, and we'll go to an edge wound or flat wound design. But then people immediately want to jump on that bandwagon that all edge wound and flat wound designs are the best, and I can tell you it's not. We tried both in this design, and I'm 99.9% sure that we settled on round wire for lots of different reasons and tests and everything. So unless Steve Irby will correct me after he sees this video, I'm 99% sure that we went with round wire on this, but we did try edge wound and flat wound and found that the round wire actually gave us the performance that we were looking for. So we don't get hung up on a particular technology. Steve Irby, I know Drew, Jimmy, Billy, you guys all had a chance to meet him. The thing he drills into our head day in and day out, it's about balance. He doesn't focus on any one thing on a speaker. It's when it's all put together, how does it perform as a system? And he makes a lot of valid points, and sometimes he makes some of us who think we know what we're talking about feel like little children. But it's the same thing in a car. I mean, if you're trying to make a car that, will run flat out fast in a straight line, but it will do really well in the corners and do all these different things, if you focus on just the suspension or you focus on just the brakes or focus on just the motor, you may have to give up something here so that in the end you get overall the performance you're looking for. If you focus on just one thing and think that makes a great car, it really doesn't. It's everything summed together makes a great performing car. And of course, the driver.
Right.
I'm just kind of reading some of these comments. One question is Sam Dunn asked, how many layers is the voice coil?
2 layer. It's a 2-layer voice coil. So it's 4 layers total because it's 2 coils. So coil 1 down and up, coil 2 down and up. So it's 4 layers, but 2 coils.
Okay, and then there's been several requests asking, since you brought back the Solo X, when is the Warhorse coming out?
Man, this is a good Coca-Cola we got.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
So,
as I said in the beginning of the program, the 2 most requested products, if you ask our social guy, that people ask for, is the Warhorse and the Solo X. Here's the Solo X.
All right. All right. So
and there's always CES. You never know what we'll talk about at that show because, the big show that we did Friday night, we knew it was going to be a long show. We did that presentation to our reps globally. We had reps tune in from over 55 countries. We had dealers tune in from the United States and over 55 countries globally. So we presented all these same products. And it was the same presentation. What we showed the reps and what we showed the dealers is the same thing we showed the world Friday night. So there's nothing that was taken out. We showed the exact same products to everyone. These products are products we would normally show at SEMA, and when we go to SEMA and we show products at SEMA, our goal is that those are going to be products that will be available Q1 or Q2, so the first or second quarter of the following year, which would be 2021. So our mindset is to really have this product available for that time frame. But then when we go to CES, which is the show in January, that's usually the first or second week in January, as you know, that show's been canceled. And we are probably going to do another event at that time frame to also talk about products that we'd be taking to CES at that time frame. So I can't really speak of those products right now. I could, but I'd have to be prepared to get a pink slip in my desk tomorrow, so I don't want to do that. But the thing about the products is we're always in development on new products. I don't know what products will be showing at the CES timeframe show. This one was kind of long. We had 10 different stations we had to cover here in the studios. 10 stations, you need a 2-minute break at least minimum between each station to change the cameras and the lights and everything. You need 8 to 10 minutes to talk about it and present it. We knew we had a long show for Friday, and we were amazed how many people tuned in and stayed tuned in. Come CES, we're going to look at how many products we got to release. It could be a shorter show, hopefully a no longer show. We may try to, if it's more than that many stations of products, we may try to combine them. So if it's a particular line of woofers, we have like round woofers, we may decide to present all those at the same time. We have looked at ways to try to shorten it up some, but we really don't know how we would be able to do any justice to presenting a whole product line like we do at SEMA or CES to anyone over video that's not going to be at least an hour and a half to 2 hours long. By the time you talk about all the products. And then, of course, all the people in here that make it happen, the people behind the cameras, the people who are moving all the cables from station to station, the 6 people who are back there in production make it all happen, all of us out here presenting the products. We all need to have breaks for take a drink or use the restroom, and we hope you need the same thing. So when you roll it all up, it's just a long show, but I was shocked how many people tuned in and stayed tuned in. And I think you're going to see more of that kind of activity coming from Kicker. I think we've reached a point where when we show something new, it's not just going to be to dealers and reps, and then 6 to 9 months later, you guys find out about it. We're going to show it to everyone probably at the same time frame when we launch things in the future. I think that's a given.
Amazing.
I know it's the first time that I know of that any manufacturer in this industry has taken the products they show to their reps and dealers this early and also showed it to all of you out there in consumer land. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
So I don't know if you can remember this or if you can answer this or not, but the strength of that motor is great compared to the strength of the old Solo X.
Here's what I'll say, and that's a great question, Billy. To put it in perspective, I do know that the original Solo X driver, when we brought that driver out, basically the high mark or the high bar standard in the industry at that time was about 22 Tesla meters as far as strength on a motor assembly. When we came out with the original Solo X drivers, we went and basically shattered that, and we came out with a driver that was 40 Tesla meters plus in magnetic strength when you measure it. So it was groundbreaking. If you compare the technology that was in the old original Solo X to the new L7X, there's a lot of people that looked at it and said, well, it doesn't. Well, let me tell you what it doesn't. It's got a boatload more motor. It's got way more magnetic strength. I don't have the number, but I could get that so I could share it with you later on. But when you're looking at travel capability, you're looking at this driver is going to have about twice the X Max of the original Solo X.
And it's stronger throughout the whole travel. Is what
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, the thing about this driver, and I mean this sincerely, and of course, there's a group of people out there and you know who you are, but about 3.5 years ago, as a brand, Kicker came out into the field. We came to competitions, we came to finals event shows, whether it's DB Drags or Midwest SPL or USAC. We came to these events and we were just walking around looking. We were looking at what are competitors running? What are they using for amplifiers? What are they using for speakers? What's the bar that's been set out there in the industry right now? And it's primarily because a couple gentlemen from JY Power, Travis and Yui, came, and they really twisted our arm to get us to come take a look and get back involved. They wanted a company like a Kicker to come back and get involved in the industry. And so we listened, we came, and we looked. And we walked away and felt that there was definitely a growing or an emerging market that's much bigger than it used to be in that arena. And maybe we should give a little bit of attention and bring something back because people continually ask for the Solo X driver. But bear in mind, we're not coming in just to play around. This driver is the real deal. I mean, you're looking at a driver, it's triple stack ferrite magnets, 3-inch voice coil. It's a fully prepared assembly that can come in and out when you blow a piece up. It's over 3 inches of travel. So you're going to be able to, as the joke goes, does this play below 40 hertz? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'll move some air, man.
Yeah, the whole thing about the 40 hertz, it's really bad that Aaron's got a bad rap for that over the years. But the truth of the matter is, I could take any of our drivers that are sitting here. I can take an original comp driver. I can take a $69 10-inch comp driver. And we can take it, put it in a box, and go back in the lab and measure it. It plays all the way down to 20 hertz and below, no problem at all. The issue that comes into play is it going to play 20 hertz at 150 dB and wave the American flag in your open window? Oh, no. The driver was never designed for that. I mean, it has an X Max of 14 millimeters. You're looking at drivers here. This is going to have an X Max approaching 40 millimeters. So it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I'm trying to remember what Laura told us the other day when she had one of these on the clip and was testing it. And I don't want to lie. She was either telling me it was at 39, the one she was testing, or approaching 42. And that's one-way X Max. And I want to be real careful when we talk about those numbers. We're actually going to be publishing 3 numbers on all these new drivers. The first thing is X-Max by definition, and unfortunately, the SPL base head industry has taken a number that used to mean something and turned it into a number that doesn't mean anything. But real X-Max, if you talk to an engineer or a guy who's writing a computer program or using computer modeling to take all the teal small parameters and actually model a box, X-Max is real simple. It's not hard. It's how tall is this? So your voice coil. How tall is your top plate on your speaker? Take that, minus that, divide it by 2, and that's your X-Max. So if we just throw some made up numbers in there, if this is 2 inches and that top plate's a 1/2 inch, well, 2 minus a 1/2 inch is 1.5 inches. And if you divide that by 2, it's 3/4 inch. That is what X-Max is. It's a true definition of its height of voice coil minus top plate divided by 2. That's X-Max. Now, what's happened, unfortunately, is X-Max has become kind of the let's kick the tires on the car to see if it's a good car standard. You can kick the tires. It doesn't tell you a lick of thing about the car, whether it runs good or it doesn't run good or it's got a good suspension or good brakes. It just, you kick the tires means they're full of air. So that's what's happened here. So X-Max, we are going to publish true X-Max ratings, because if you want to use any box modeling programs and actually get some results out of it that means something, you need real X-Max. Then we're going to publish what we're going to call X-Mech. And X-Mech is how far is the driver capable of mechanically moving stop to stop before you rip it apart? Meaning how far can the spider move? How far can the surround move before you reach the point where the rubber band breaks, the mechanical limits of the driver? So we're going to publish mechanical X-Max. Go again?
I said I could test that for you.
Oh, I know you, Jimmy. I know you can't. We'll let you. We're going to let you do that for us. And then we are actually going to publish, and we haven't decided on the number yet, so I don't want to mislead anyone, but we're going to publish a true BL measurement out of the Klippel analyzer. And we are blessed as a company that when it comes to what we design and build on a daily basis, we have 2 Klippels on premises, so we have no problem evaluating and testing drivers all the time to know what they are. So when this is finally done and you're going to look at specs on this driver, there'll be true X-Max, which is what all box programs want to have fed into them to do any kind of box analysis or box building. There's going to be X-Mech, which is how far can this unit physically move before you physically break it? How far can the rubber band stretch before it snaps? And then there's going to be a BL, an actual BL reading out of Klippel to tell you what the BL is. So are we going to read it at 90% of BL or 80% of BL or 70% of BL? I don't know. The problem with percent of BL out of a Klippel is even that has been started to be used in a manipulative way to just show big X-Max numbers. I know, and I won't say who they are, but there's a company offshore, they're starting to use 50% of BL as their X-Max number. Well, so you're telling me that when the magnet's half strength, that's still usable? Really? But if you can prove it on a Klippel, it must mean it can do it, but it doesn't mean anything. You're looking at 70 to 80% of BL is when you start getting up to about 10% THD on a driver. And we consider once you go beyond that, it's probably pretty worthless. So we will probably rate our Klippel BL at either 70% or more than likely 80%, because we tend to want to be a little more conservative. And we'd rather rate it at 80 than rate it at 70. But there are a lot of companies, because it's the fact matters, if you rate a driver at, let's just throw an imaginary number out there. Let's call it 40 millimeters at 80 BL. And now you go to 70% BL, all of a sudden you can go to 48. And as you keep lowering that percentage of magnetic energy on the curve, and that's really what it is, a curve that's dropping off on both sides, hopefully symmetrical, not always, but hopefully symmetrical. When you get down to 50% BL, it doesn't mean anything. It lets you print a big number, but it doesn't mean anything for performance. So we've had a lot of discussion about that aspect of these drivers, and we're just going to be cut and dried about it. We're going to tell you what true X-Max is, because that's what a box program wants. We're going to tell you X-Mex, and we're going to probably tell you 70 or 80% BL on a Klippel, and we'll rate them that way.
Awesome. Jimmy, we have any questions over there? Somebody's talking box size. I know y'all mentioned 3 feet for the 12.
The 12, I'll tell you honestly, and all the testing that we do in the main lab we do here, we use straight up sealed boxes because it allows us to stress the mechanical parts the most. If you build a ported box, which you guys are building ported boxes all the time, because what you're doing is you're riding on the efficiency, you're trying to get that resonant and everything to work for you. At that point, the driver actually moves very little. Now, we have tested these imported boxes as well, obviously, but when we do mechanical stress tests and everything, we go straight into a sealed box because it's the easiest way to find the weaknesses than it is in a ported box that's tuned properly. Of course, I guess you could improperly tune a ported box and get there as well, but we just prefer to use a sealed box. On the 12, I think we're talking 2.5 cubes is what we're looking at as probably a volume. But we don't have anything firm enough right now that we're willing to say, okay, this is what we're going to put out on recommended paper. But they are very reasonably sized boxes. And the thing I can tell you, we were asked this question Friday. These are very musical drivers. They sound very good. They're not just a air-moving monster. And yes, you can run them with lower power. It's just if you want the full potential of the driver, you're going to need to run couple thousand watts into it. But will it sound good with 800 to 1,000 watts of power? Yep, I've heard one on low power. It sounds really good. It just doesn't reach full mechanical excursion. So.
Absolutely.
Sounds pretty awesome. And so when do we get the first batch?
When do we get the first batch?
Right.
Well, like I tell you, this is kind of interesting. I had another sampler on the floor, so just to show you where we're at, I told you in the beginning. So this spare part here, this is foam surround. And if I remember right, this is all polyether. Yeah, I think it's polyether. There's Santropine. We're playing with both. We haven't made up our mind whether we're going to go with the Santropine surround or we're going to go with the foam surround. And it's not really about cost. It's about which one's going to give us the best overall performance, which one's going to keep the weight down, which one's going to have longevity or life, because everything does break down over time. So we're figuring out which one's going to be the best value and the best performance for that. So this is one of those things we're still figuring out, Jimmy and Billy. We don't know what we're going to do yet because we're still testing. We brought this product to this SEMA replacement show really early because it's not really done yet. We're still playing with it, but we felt like it was time to go ahead and let the world know, yes, we're bringing back the, hate to call it Solo X, but it's L7X.
So how much crossover with competitors and let's say normal people do you think we'll have with that driver?
Our target for this driver, we know that there are going to be SPL competitors that are going to use this driver. We know that for a fact. Our real design goal in this is for this to be a throw it in your car, someone who wants a lot of demo bass or street bass or a daily and wants to have great bass with lots of power. But also this driver can go into a setup that you're going to do, high SPLs. You're going to do those high 150s, low 160s, mid 160s. The thing for us that's going to be exciting is, and I pull no punches on this, there are a lot of the guys who are watching through this camera right now that have way more experience designing these higher output enclosures that have become really popular the last several years. We used to have several guys on our competition team back in the day with like the original Solo X18s. Those guys were doing 170 pluses with Solo X drivers, but they were artists at their craft. We knew how to make great drivers. They knew how to get the most performance out of them. And the same thing's going to happen here. We're going to have to find some people who know what they're doing and are going to show us what the full potential of this driver is. We know what it's capable of mechanically. We know what it's capable of thermally. We know how well it's going to sound. We know how easy it's going to be replaced. Now we need to find people who can put them into a high output specialized enclosure and show us what they're going to do with it. At the end of the day, and this is something it is controversial, probably one of the most controversial things is people talk about square. And the reason that Stillwater Designs even came out with a square subwoofer, first, we didn't invent the square speaker. The square speaker has been around since probably the late 50s or mid 60s. Sony, Pioneer, several other companies have used square honeycomb diaphragms for mid-ranges or woofers, but they weren't subwoofers. They weren't capable of playing any real low frequency, low output because they had no travel. Right. And that's where Steve and the guys, figured back in, the late 90s when they were playing with it, figured out how to do these corners and how to get the travel. And that's why these are patented, the radiuses in the corner, the pleats that we do, how the spacing on them, how they're there. That's what allows this driver to produce deep bass. So the reason square even came about to begin with is because if I have a round 12-inch driver that has 10 millimeters of X-Max, and I got a square 12-inch driver that's got 10 millimeters of X-Max, and they both have the same stroke, if they both do this identical, This has 20% more cone area. And it would be just like going in and boring a motor out in your car, taking the block and boring it out and honing it back down to a larger cylinder size. You're moving more air. You're more gas in, bigger explosion, more air out. You're moving more air, so you get higher horsepower. The same thing happens as a square driver. I had a lot of people say, well, it's just a marketing gimmick. Well, I go, well, you're right. It is a great marketing gimmick. And the fact that we patented it helps. I said, so it is a marketing gimmick. But at the end of the day, when you take a 12-inch round driver against a 12-inch square driver, there's 20, not 12, I think it's like 21%. There's 21% more cone area there moving. So now what's happened is back in the day, we went to the square format. We had back in that day, which was long X-Max or long travels, and it did give you more output. Now, as things have moved forward, people have created drivers with more and more X-Max, and so the longer throw offset the larger cone. Now, what we've done is we've come back to the table and gone, okay, here's the 20% larger cone, and it's got the same travel as your round drivers today. Now what?
Right. Right. How awesome is that?
And I mean, that's really what we've done. And I jokingly say it because I can. It's kind of fun. But, Steve Irby, I mean, this is his company. It's his sandbox. He loves to play with speakers and drivers. He loves making products that people enjoy. He loves seeing a smile on somebody's face when they're enjoying the products that we're using. Hey, you know what? Let's say hi, Bill.
Hey, Kip.
Guess what?
What?
You are live on camera with Base Wars right now.
With the legendary Billy Temple?
Yes. I mean, here, I'll point you at the camera. Say hi, Bill.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
So
Bill.
I had to take your phone call since I left my ringer on. You called. I just had to bring you into the live feed.
Right.
Can I call you back?
Well, yeah.
I'll give you a ringy dingy later. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Sorry, I had to do that. What else?
Right.
Where was I? What was I talking about? I've lost myself.
You were about to tell us what the Vice was and the FS. And, if we could pull a QMS out of there, that'd be okay too. But we just wondered what your thoughts were on that.
Those specs will be available soon. The problem is because we haven't decided.
Right.
The thing I can say is there's two things in flux right now. That we're still. I mean, I was at work today. We're still at work. We're still working these things through. We've got listening tests scheduled for later in the week. Two things we're working on: surround material, because that affects free air resonance,
Right.
and motor. We're still playing around with this right here, and we haven't decided if we're going to go solid steel all the way up. Are we going to make it an aluminum slug? Are we going to go with the stainless steel slug? And literally, we've got them all. We're playing with them. And when we figure that out, because that right there affects the thermal curve, it acts like a shorting ring to some degree, so it affects the frequency response curve slightly on that. So we're still playing around with those. So until we nail those down to where we're happy with them, those questions you're asking, I can't answer because it's still in flux.
Gonna change.
But is this the Solo X you're going to see? Yep. These are all off-tool parts here. I mean, you're seeing this. The surround will probably change, and I can guarantee the motor is going to change because we're experimenting around with that. So they're not done yet. But for us to have these drivers available late first quarter, which is what Steve's pushing for, we'll have to make these decisions the next 30 days. I mean, so that means R&D and listening tests and all sorts of things have to be solidified in the next 30 days so we can hit that target.
All right. So
I'd love to tell you, we just don't have them yet.
Right. Here's one. Let's see.
Ask.
Okay. Well, no, that's not actually a question. Let's see.
You're funny, Drew.
Yeah. Are the QL7 staying as an SQ option?
For now, yes.
Yes. Let's see. I'm guessing this is for us. Any plans to bring large builds, I'm assuming, of you guys to the shows?
Yes, but what we're probably going to do initially is we're probably going to find a couple of key people to align with and work with them, because they're going to be more versed in the cabinet design for a high output vehicle like that. And so we would probably be ahead to work with someone to do a build or two first. Will we be doing a build? Yeah, the guys in the back are chomping at the bit. Matter of fact, the Fiat that's sitting right here, Randy's like, so can we put 2 15s in that? I'm like, well, if you want to destroy the car, I guess we can.
Right.
I mean,
I bet that'd be a big no. Right.
I think we'll break every piece of plastic and metal and glass and knob and everything that's on it. But if you want to do that, so are we going to be building demo vehicles with these? Absolutely. Are we going to be working with some of the right people out in the field to build demo vehicles with these? Absolutely. These will be in demo vehicles.
Yes. There will be one-on models. We decided that earlier. One-on voice coils.
Yes. Yeah, as it sits right now, it'll be dual 2s and dual 1s.
What's the biggest, the 15 or 18? We didn't really say. We just let
for
that
now.
one.
He said
the
12
only ones I can talk
15.
about on camera for now, we are doing a 10, a 12, and a 15.
Right.
What I didn't say was that's the only ones we're doing. I just said for now, we're doing a 10, a 12, and a 15. Those will be the 3 to launch initially.
Right. Let's see here. I think that's all we got. Well, Kit, what do we forget?
You know, I don't really think there's anything that I forgot. I mean, there's the things that are solid on it is we're really shooting hard for late Q1 to get these out, but it could be Q2. We just finished thermal. You know, you asked about where we're at. That is the voice coil. That's a final. We're rating the 10, 12, and 15 across the board, all at 2,000 watts RMS. I don't know if anyone watched on Friday, because the question did come up of, well, how do you guys determine what kind of power to put on these? We're probably one of the most conservative rated companies that are out there on our products, especially if you look at products that go through different retail channels. We do use peak rating numbers. So it'll be, 500 watts RMS, 1,000 peak or things like that. We just tell people all the time, just look at RMS. That's the only number that matters. That peak number that's on there, that's for an uneducated buyer, and you can't speak to him anyway. All he understands is how many watts is on the box and how much does it cost. Unfortunately, that doesn't tell you anything, but that's the only thing you can get across to an uneducated buyer or someone who won't listen to you. So always look at RMS. The way this driver was developed as far as its power handling is it's 20 to 80 hertz mixed sine waves information for 4 hours at 2,000 watts. So it has to go for 4 hours at that 20 hertz to 80 hertz information for it to pass that. And we did lots of testing on it, and 2,000 watts is what we set it at. We're fairly confident, and that's constant mixed sine wave material. You go into music, which has a lot more dynamics and more rest time in it, it's probably going to be higher than that for most people, but we're conservatively rating this driver at 2,000 watts RMS.
Cool.
I've personally been in that room. That room is really cool. You can hear a pin drop in there. It's so quiet.
The last thing we want to get into is, one of the companies that's getting in the spotlight right now with exaggerated power ratings, and that's the last place we want to be.
Yeah.
Last.
All right. So, of course, and I think we touched on this earlier too, but a lot of people are asking cost, and we don't know that cost, but you want to go?
I can't tell you an exact number on cost yet, but what I can tell you is compared to the original Solo X, it's probably going to be about half.
Yeah. Okay. And any idea on the recones?
Haven't seen a price on that. I'd be lying to you if I told you one, but we're looking, obviously we want to keep the recones reasonable so that guys can replace them. It's the other thing is we're still deciding from a warranty standpoint where we're going to draw the line as far as that's something that Kicker's going to cover under warranty. Is it going to be a one and done? We don't know how we're going to handle that yet. When you look at a product like this, this is a high performance product. I mean, it's designed to be taken to the limit, and when you take it to the limit, it's going to break. Guys who do drag races on the weekend or whatever, it's not unusual for them to go through 4 to 6 motors a weekend, and every time they rebuild one of those, it's $80,000. There's no part in there that's warranted because they are taking everything to the limit. This is kind of how we look at this product, but we are Kicker, and we're going to see what we're going to do on warranty. We don't know how we're going to cover that yet, but we do know that part of that equation is we want these to be as reasonably priced as possible so that when you do take one out, you can get a replacement at a reasonable cost.
Right.
I kind of wonder that same question, Tim. He asked when the KS dual pods will be coming out.
Hold on. I'm still here. I can hear you. Since you brought it up, there's nothing better than to bring it back.
Right.
So since I'm here in the studio where everything's out, I might as well go get it.
I'm glad somebody else asked that question besides me.
So this is the KS mid tweeter pod. If you saw these on Friday night, it is a 2-inch driver, 3/4 inch tweeter. This gets mounted on your dash or on an A-pillar. You can swivel and adjust this to where you want. You can clock the tweeter however you need to on this. It's bi-ampable, so the mid-wire and the tweeter wire both come out of the unit. So if you want to do a full electronic crossover system with no passive, you can. Or you can use the 18 dB high pass, 6 dB low pass crossover that's included with it as well. These should be, I'm glad that tables would, early first quarter, we're hoping. Those should be available early first quarter. This project was actually farther along down the pipe than even this one, and so we should see this one a little bit sooner. But they will be coming soon, and you know, they look fantastic. They sound fantastic. This is an SQ product. This is for someone who wants to take the time to work with it and get that mid and tweet up high to raise that stage up off the floor and experience fantastic sound up on the dash where it's supposed to be. And it's approved, done, ready to go. I mean, these are off tool right here. We're just, be honest, I think we're just waiting for the first shipment to arrive.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I did a couple of shows this weekend and in Biloxi on Saturday. I bet my feet weren't on the driveway for 60 seconds before people started talking about the new speaker. Isn't that cool? 60 seconds, I promise you. By the time I got out of my truck, got to the back of my trailer, it was happening. It was on. So a lot of people watched that thing. So that was really good. You said 8,000.
It was a great show. We had fun doing it. Hopefully people got a kick out of it. It was the first time that we've ever brought products straight to the people who buy our stuff, which are you guys. I mean, yeah, we sell them to dealers and we sell them to, you know, online retailers, but at the end of the day, it's the people who actually buy it, put it in their car, that are our true customers. And we wanted to bring this product, all of it, straight to you guys so you could get a taste of it. And I don't think we're going to change our mode. I think from, like I said, here on out, we're going to bring all the new stuff straight to you guys. You'll get to see it before it's even available, which, you know, is good and bad because you know it's coming, but it could be 3 months or 6 months till you see it. So you just have to be patient. Just like the winners who won stuff from the Friday night show, they won stuff that's not available yet. So they're just got to be patient until we get it, and then we can send it to them.
Yeah.
One other question that I personally had, because I heard this through rumors. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the show, but I heard you're bringing 6x9 component sets out.
I'll be right back.
That I personally am very interested in.
You did hear correctly. So we released at CES last year, we released a 6x9 component set that just came with a 3/4 inch tweeter. And so this year we've added to that, and it is the KS 6x9 speaker, mid-range, mid-bass driver. And we're including the mount that you need for most of these oddball Toyotas and GMs and things like that. This is the adapter bracket, so you can get that right into that location. So that comes with the kit.
Saves a lot of time on the router.
Nice.
This is the external 6 dB crossover that comes with it for the 2.5 inch middler. And some people call these middlers. Some people call them twiddlers. Either one's probably accurate, but this is that small driver that you're seeing in Subaru, GM, Toyota. And then if you've got a Dodge product, we also include the adapter bracket for these that makes it into that 3.5-inch opening, so you can mount it in a 3.5-inch opening. But you get all of these adapter brackets come in the kit. So when you get this KSS kit, it's got all the adapter brackets for all those applications in the box. Pick what you need and roll with it.
Can we put that on my list, please?
I knew you were going to go there. Yeah, we can. I need to find out when these are going to land. You know, this year has been a challenge, I think, for just about every industry on planet Earth, not just car audio like us. Getting things built on time and replenishing stock on time has been a real challenge with the things as they are this year. You know, personal experience for me is here a few months back, I was doing a project at home and I needed some sandpaper. It was for Paula, and she wanted to sand some projects up and repaint them and do some stuff. And so I get in the car and I drive over to Lowe's and I walk over to the gondola where sandpaper is and I look at it. I look up, I look down, I look all over, and Lowe's guy comes up and he says, "Can I help you, sir?" I go, "Yeah." "You got any sandpaper?" He's like, "No, sir, I'm sorry. We're sold out of everything." And he wasn't joking. There was not one piece. There wasn't belt sander, disc sander, palm sander, finger sander, no sander. They had not a lick of sandpaper in stock. So I told Paul, you have to wait till the weekend. We got in the car and drove down to Oklahoma City for the weekend and went to a Home Depot, and they had some sandpaper, but even they were low in stock. So it's I'm going to say it's a manufacturing problem everywhere. Is people are having issues keeping things in stock right now because of all the slowdowns and things that have happened due to the pandemic that everyone's either worried about or not worried about. And so we're experiencing that same thing. That's really what's kind of slowed down our development on this driver right here. This driver would have probably already been done and out in the market had we not have to been deal with COVID, because one of the issues that we've dealt with is our company made the decision to stop all international travel as of March and stop all outbound travel. So salespeople, tech people, me and the guys traveling out to shows, they put us underneath a travel ban. And so engineers that we would normally have going to our manufacturers offshore, overseas, normally would be at a factory a minimum of 8 times a year. They haven't been at all this year. And so everything that we've had to do with making tooling changes and let's try this and experiment with that, it's all had to be done very, very long distance with none of our engineers on site. And it's been a challenge.
Yeah. I know. I've personally asked you several times to come to a couple shows, and I understand, you know, because of your company policies and what you have to do, you know, you've not been able to, but
trust me, Jimmy, I'm not avoiding you. It's just I have to follow the company rules, and right now I can't travel.
No, I completely understand.
So,
which to go along with that, I don't know what everyone's personal experience has been with COVID, but up until yesterday, we'd only had 4 cases of COVID here at Kicker, and they were all no deaths, nothing like that. They went home, they quarantined. 2 weeks later, they were fine. They came back to work, and that was early. That was like probably 4 months, if not 5 months ago. And then just yesterday, we all got an email that there are 2 people in the company that over the weekend popped positive for COVID. And so the company brought in, we have a crew that comes in every night. They had them come in again over the weekend and do a deep cleaning of the entire company and check everything. And then of course they've let us know who those people are. And if you've been in contact with them, you may want to go get checked. And if you pop, then, you know, stay home and quarantine for a couple of weeks and let us know how you're doing. Our company is very, very, very gracious and accommodating for anything like that. They've let a lot of us work from home. There's still some people who are working from home, but we keep moving forward. It's not like we're shut down. We're just working in a kind of a weird time. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready for the weird time to be over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, Kip, we got a couple of questions about the show, the products y'all are giving away. They want to know when the winners will be announced, or have they been announced?
We should have asked that question when Bill was on the phone a few minutes ago.
Right.
Here's what I'll tell you is those are all those drawings are run through a service called Gleam. Those drawings that we did for Friday night, the entry shut down at 12 Central Time. The winners have all been drawn. They are on a spreadsheet. I have it in my inbox. I have not looked at it yet because I don't want to go through all those winners yet. But Bill will be reaching out and letting all those people know this week who won and what they won and kind of a rough idea when to expect to receive their prize. Again, we gave away an L7X15 and an L7X12. I'm sure the guy or gal who won these is going to be ultra excited, but they're not going to get them until we have them. And you know, like I said, we're hoping late Q1.
Well, I know you guys are busy, so you can send me that spreadsheet. I'll make sure it's editable right? And I'll help you guys out with that.
I'll send it to you as a locked PDF.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, I know how to unlock them, so that's all good.
Right. And then there's somebody, Jimmy wants to know if you could show us the quad box up on the table.
Yeah, the quad box?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can show you the quad. Hold on, I'll have to get behind the camera. I'm a little herky-jerk on the camera because this is a pro camera. I think it weighs 40.
No, don't do it. We were really having fun wanting to see you lift that quad box up on the table.
Well, I'm not going to lift it on the table, but here's what I'm going to do. Hold on. There's not going to be any lifting going on.
Right? Oh, okay. Well, it's right there, huh? Look at that.
There's the quad box.
I really like those.
Absolutely.
They're really, really nice.
I like the stitching in it. That's pretty cool.
You know, that's one of the things, and I don't know that we ever answered it. I'd love to say that we did. I just don't remember if we did. But someone did ask during the live show on Friday. Let me get the camera locked down here. If I break that camera, someone will break my neck.
Mm-hmm.
They asked how because we do, I don't want to brag, we are the #1 manufacturer and reseller of loaded enclosures in the world. We sell tons of them. And if you've seen the quad box, Jimmy, you've seen the quad box in person, probably over the Pro Audio, right?
Yeah. We got pallets.
And so I can say this, and you can either tell me I'm full of it or you can back me up. The fit and finish on this box, the carpeting, the look, everything, the stitching is top notch. I mean, it is very high end.
You won't custom build it any nicer.
No.
Hold on, sir. I don't mean to be rude, but we're only seeing your chin. You need to pan the camera up just a little bit.
Man, Jimmy, you don't like my chin?
Absolutely. That is a very fine, distinguished chin.
Hold on. We'll do this. There you go.
Jimmy said eating because you only panned over there.
Hey, there you go.
Absolutely better.
Here's the deal. Someone asked us that question. The thing is, we as a company have been doing loaded enclosures for so long, and we do so many and we sell so many that our engineers just know how to design these, where we need to have the right tuck pattern, where things need to go, that it's easy to carpet. It comes out looking beautiful, the alignment on there, and it turns out that way. There's no magic wand. It's just that we're kind of experts at it. And if you look at what the quad box is, you take out the 4 woofers, and then you look at just the box, it's a tremendous value what you're getting for the cost of that box. I mean, it's birch plywood construction, it's double plate, it's gusseted, it's got internal window bracing, it's all threaded inserts for the woofers, it's got that beautiful covering on it with carpet, great stitch. We've learned how to build them and mass produce them and make them look good all at the same time because we sell so many.
Robert had a funny one. He was saying quad box giveaway challenge. If you can pick it up and carry it away, you win.
You know, you say that. I think I'm actually going to come up with a quad box giveaway. I think I am.
Yeah.
Not on this show right now, but I'm just announcing that I think that'd be a good idea and we should do it.
Yeah.
Scott said, what about the Kicker headphones? Which pair? He have, I want to say 5 or 6 pair.
Well, I can honestly say I own every pair. Obviously, when a new pair comes out, I buy them. I use them on my desk, or I take them home. These are a set I took off my desk last Friday to come down so I could plug into the monitor back there so I could hear what was going on. This is actually, and I know you're not going to be able to see it out there unless I come in a little bit, but this pair is actually the Kicker Country Stampede set that we did for the Stampede a few years back.
Oh.
So these are just wired Cush headphones, nice yellow Kicker embroidery on there, the padded cups. It's just a wired version, but these were the Country Stampede version we did. I've got them all. The Cush NC, which are the noise canceling, are phenomenal. The Cush BT sound fantastic as well. Some people don't like an on-ear headphone. They don't bother me a bit. I can wear on-ear or over-ear. Neither one bothers me. The Cush BT sounds fantastic. I like the Cush NCs because they have the noise canceling built on board. They're over-ear, and on a plane flight, they are phenomenal. I don't know that there's a better spokesman out there for how good the headphone sounds other than Andy McGill. And that guy's got a set of those Cush NCs and just absolutely loves them. They are a fantastic sounding pair of headphones. They're Bluetooth, they're auxiliary input, they got noise canceling on board. They're $199, I think retail is the price on those. I'll put them up against headphones twice that cost and go to town. There's products that really nice.
I use them daily, and I can honestly say that I really enjoy the quality of sound, and the noise canceling is amazing because I'll be sitting there in the bed with my wife and the dogs and birds and everything else that's going on, and I'll push that little button and it's gone. And that's amazing because I have a pretty loud house sometimes.
You know, it's really cool on those is that's actually, I mean, a lot of noise canceling headphones use an analog type circuit because the way a noise canceling headphone works, it's pretty crazy, but it's the truth. There's microphones on the outside that listen to all the sound coming into you. And then the circuitry inside the headphone actually makes a sound that's 180 degrees out of phase with those noises coming in. And it plays that sound into the headphones at the same time you're listening to your music. And it's just like +1 and -1. I mean, if you take +1 and -1 and put them together at the same time, then the result is 0 or a null. And that's what those headphones do. But what's really cool about the NCs is that actually has a digital DSP or digital signal processing system on board that does all that analyzing. It's not an analog circuit, it's actually DSP. And we spend a lot of time tuning and tweaking on that, both the sound quality of that, because it has an EQ circuit in there that we play around with to get them to sound how we want them to sound. And for the noise canceling, you know, we played around with the DSP circuit on that. So there's a lot of tuning time in getting those to where they're at. I was fortunate enough to sit on many listening sessions for those with Steve and the guys. And I'll tell you what, have I heard other headphones that sound good? Yes, I've heard other headphones that sound good. They're also twice the money. So for half the cost, I'd put these up against about anything.
Yeah, they really are awesome.
They are. They're fantastic. Those Cush NCs are phenomenal. Every now and again, we build great products, but every now and again, we build an exceptional product that is at an unbelievable price, and those Cush NCs are definitely an exceptional product.
100%.
Very cool. Well, all right, Kip, man, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. You know, I'm down for this anytime you want. If there's any products the guys want to talk about, you know, next week or the week after, anything like that, make a list. We can always get back together and talk about it. When we get some more firm numbers on what this is going to be, the things you asked that we don't have yet, like FS and VAS and all those other wonderful things. Once we get to a point we've got some more firm information on that, we can certainly do another show to talk about that. Yeah, cool. I just can't discuss those now because of those fluctuations we've already discussed.
Yeah, gonna change.
Absolutely. Well, we definitely appreciate you and all your time tonight. And I know you have probably better places you'd like to be. And
right.
I could be sitting in a chair getting fatter. So I think this is probably better.
Well, I do like ice cream.
Maybe healthy eyes, yes, sir.
You like ice cream. I'm not really a vanilla ice cream fan per se. I mean, I like it. I like all flavors. I love chocolate chip mint. I like strawberry. I mean, you name them, I like ice cream. But vanilla is just vanilla. It's just the plain ice cream that you really don't get into.
Needs chocolate or something on it.
Bluebell has this natural vanilla bean vanilla. Yeah. And they make like 3 or 4 different flavors of vanilla, but this one's called natural vanilla bean. If you haven't tried it yet, you need to swing by your local store and pick up one. For a vanilla, it's amazing. And don't laugh. You put about a shot glass of Jameson whiskey over it. Amazing.
Right? I never would have thought that.
Right. It's amazing.
That's cool. You know, they also make a cookies and cream that is mixed with cookie dough.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think I need to try that one. I've heard some speak of that, but I haven't tasted that one yet. So,
it is really good, especially when you put salted caramel topping on top of it.
Ghirardelli?
Yeah, as a matter of fact. Yeah. the blue bottle.
That's the one. Comes in the blue bottle, the Ghirardelli, the salted caramel?
It's really thick.
Absolutely.
That's the one. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is really good.
You know, you can't maintain a svelte figure like this and not like some ice cream occasionally.
I work hard on mine. Gallon a week.
I try.
Right?
Well, you know, guys,
need 2 gallons, Jimmy.
Laugh coming on board and talk about this stuff with you. Seriously, anytime you want to do it, you know we're here for it. We're very appreciative anytime you give us, and the guys tune in to ask questions. We have fun, so we appreciate it.
Cool. I appreciate it. Hey, and so there is one other thing that I totally do want is whenever they get readily available, maybe one to put on the table at the shows.
You want one?
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, one to display in like a clear box or something.
4 to display in a vehicle. I mean,
Hold on a second. Now that you've said that, I'm gonna go get something. I'll be right back. Let me move my mess.
Mm.
that mess is all contaminated. You need to give it to me.
I can send it all to you in a box.
Right.
You know, it's crazy. I'm not on camera, but you can hear me. It's because I'm on a wireless pack.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we had this all the way up front for the show Friday.
I remember that.
Yeah, a half one.
Yeah. How cool is that?
That is actually pretty cool.
So you can see here, I forgot that we had this when I would have brought it up here earlier, but this is a cutaway that we did. And as you can see, triple ferrite magnets, top plate, basket, double spider, the spider landing ring. You can see the mounting ring here at the top. This right here, you can see is 2 separate pieces because this is still prototype stages. We don't know what we're going to do there yet, but this was a prototype we cut in half so people could take a look at it. So that gives you an idea what the inside looks like.
That's actually pretty amazing, seriously.
Yeah. Hey, were you guys the first ones to stitch the tinsel leads in the spider?
I don't. Man, that is a very good question, Billy. I'd love to tell you we were. The reason we did it was because of slap. When you have a regular tinsel lead, it's always a challenge to get that lead just the right length so that it doesn't hit against the back of the cone when it's moving. Right. And so we went down this path in development because we were just looking for a way to get rid of that noise and make the leads more reliable. So that's why we went with the woven in tinsel leads. I would love to say that it was us who did it first, but I don't know that. So I'm not going to stick my neck out and say it for certain.
Yeah, I was just curious. Never know.
I would love to say we were, but it's all about reliability. Weaving them into that spider makes them so much more reliable than just out there flying on leads. It really makes them more reliable.
Man, could you imagine a couple of them sitting out front as tent weights?
As
right,
tent weights.
Oh,
I've been looking for something to hook to the tents, not around the legs, but to the tops of the tents. Some cool weights of some kind. And a guy in Freeport named Brandon Buck, he brought a bunch of big subs baskets with, and he used those as tent weights. And I was like, well, that's perfectly fitting for what we do, but just don't have any. And don't cut a speaker up. I wouldn't want to cut a speaker up.
We don't have any we can use for tent weights right now.
Right.
We don't have any to sell yet. Come on.
Right. But it is a pretty cool thing that he did. It was pretty neat.
Yeah.
How heavy do you need it to be?
I haven't figured that out yet. But based on some of those shows in Florida, it's not going to be heavy enough, no matter what.
We run crazy. I think they're 45-gallon drums full of water for the XRV.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah. That's cool. That would work. But
when you fill those up, you're looking, that's 300 pounds.
Very heavy. And you also have a very big truck to bring them with.
Very, very true. We do have that indeed. Can't wait till we get on the road with that.
Right. Okay.
So I'm glad you said that because it reminded me to bring the cutaway over here. So there's the cutaway.
Right. Yeah, cool.
I don't know if I've got anything else, but I'm open for any question.
Yeah, I have been scanning, and somebody asked, Jimmy answered for us, but how much power you could put in the quad box? What kind of power is can
2,400 watts.
Yeah, 2,400 watts. Yeah.
I mean, we really designed that box to marry up with a KXA 2,400 amplifier. I mean, that's designed to just pair right up with it and be done. Or if it was a guy that was on a tight budget and he just wanted to get it and he had to go now, you could get a 1,200.1 and run all four. And then you could come back at a later date and buy another 1,200. And because coming out the box, it's woofer 1 and 2 come out to one terminal cup, woofer 3 and 4 come out to the other terminal cup. So you could do 1 amp on all four, or you could do 2 amps. So you could start off with a 1,200 one running all four, and then as your budget grew, you could buy another 1,200, and then let's hook it up. So it'd be 1,200 on pair 1 and 2, and another on 3 and 4.
Right. And what does that box cost?
$14.99, I think, is UMAP on it or retail.
Yeah, and amplifiers, the 2,400s. What's the retail on those?
2,400 retails for $9.99. Street price is typically $750, $6.99 to $750.
So was that $2,500? You can do over a 50. Those boxes will do over a 50 in most vehicles.
Yeah, I don't know if they follow your channel or you're in it, but there's a couple guys, Brandon and Robert, who are out of D&B Sales in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They got a quad box in and hooked it up to a 2,400, and they put it in the car and they played around. They played with tuning the gains and frequency and location in the vehicle and everything, and they pulled a 153 out of it in vehicle.
Right.
Nice.
So a prefab box with woofers ready to go, hooked up to a 2,400 one, run up to the battery with a 1-aught kit, and they did a 53 on it.
Well, I'll tell you what is also really cool. I don't know if I sent you a picture of somebody competed in Biloxi with 2 Kicker 15s. Did I send you that?
You did send me that picture. A pair of 15s in the box. Don't tell me. I think the box had the words Harley Quinn on it.
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe so. But
I think you had some graphic decals or something on it that said Harley Quinn.
It did. That box did they did a 53 and change with that in an Escalade.
In an Escalade.
15s, yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, here. That one right there.
Yep. That's Amy Gerald out of Mobile, Alabama.
Team Deftone.
Yep.
That's awesome. I mean, when you sent me that picture, I was excited. You said they did a 53?
53 and some change. Let me pull that graphic up. And,
is that it looks like L7S?
Drew chimed in there and said, "I designed that box."
Okay.
Oh, of course he did. I mean, it's hitting hard and performing. Of course he did. Well, then Drew, do you remember? That's L7S, right? That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's L7S. That's not even Q. That's L7S drivers.
Right.
Which I think L7S is often get overshadowed by the Q. The L7S is a fantastic driver.
Right.
Absolutely. It really is.
Let's see. Yeah, she did a 153.12.
There you go. That's that's very respectable.
Yeah, you remember what we used to have to do to get a 50? Yeah, we couldn't do it. Right?
Yeah. Sad to say, I'm old enough to remember all of that. Yes.
Right. Couldn't do it. Put a wall in there. Still couldn't do it. I mean, we got it done, but it took a lot.
It's amazing where that whole game has come today. I mean, I don't know that I would ever in my own vehicle want to do what a lot of these guys are doing to theirs, because I just wouldn't want to destroy my vehicle. But it's crazy what
they're vehicles.
Doing. It's just crazy.
Throwaway vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to do it, that's what I have to do is go buy me a throwaway, because I wouldn't want to do that to my nice new regular car. Although
I did it for my daily driver for almost 3 years.
You know, you keep telling me that. You're telling me there's no plastic in your car broke, no metal, no nothing?
Nothing.
Okay.
I can prove that to you any day. Okay. I will drive up to Kicker and show you.
I knew that was coming. Either the mountain's got to go to Muhammad or Muhammad's got to go to the mountain. I get it.
Right. But By the time you get finished with it, though, it's probably going to be a throwaway vehicle.
Maybe.
Right?
I made a lot of it so it would actually come apart and go back to factory. The only thing in my vehicle I think I would say that would have to be changed would be my headliner and my two B-pillar. Plastic.
The plastics at the B-pillar?
Yeah, because I fiberglass and bondoed and resined and all that into them. But other than that, everything else in my vehicle will actually go back to factory.
Dang.
Wow. I commend you for that. That's crazy.
Well, I did it like that because just in case I ever wanted to sell it, I could rip it back out because not many people wants to buy a walled vehicle.
You know, I think a lot of people out there, the thrill is in the build and the experimentation and learning it, do it yourself instead of just buying one that's done. I think that's really where it is. At least I think so.
Yeah.
Well, see, I had Drew help me with my build, of course. He designed it for me, and me and a couple of my buddies built it in my driveway, actually. I don't have a garage, but I did it all in the driveway over the winter.
What did you do? You sent me a video over the weekend where you were at Midwest SPL Finals. How did you do there?
I finished 3rd and 4th. And, you know, I don't know. My numbers were down a little bit this weekend because I couldn't leave well enough alone, and I went in there tinkering with shit. And I kind of lost a little bit.
Numbers were down. What were they?
I did a 62 in a burp in advanced 3. And 42.7, I believe, in my extreme score, which is a 1.5 feet out the window, or a foot out the window. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's such a poor score. How dare you want to talk about those?
Right.
It's very, very poor. I mean, you know, it can
That's
get
some crazy numbers. That's crazy numbers. I don't care. I don't care what people want to say. I don't know that people today really have the respect that 150 is still a crazy number. And when you get above that and start approaching, go over 160, that's just insane. It just is.
You know, the funny part about it is we joke about it all the time, but 160s are not loud anymore.
Unfortunately, enough people have done it and been exposed to it that you're right. They don't think it's loud anymore. But I'm here to tell you that's plenty loud. That is loud.
Yeah.
Wow.
There is only one person. There's only one person today that has ever tapped me out. Well, one vehicle, I should say. But other than that, that was Joe Price / Jordan Acosta's Death Bounce van. That's the only vehicle that has ever tapped me out. And I've sit in, I could pretty much say most of the loud builds out there, from Stephen Duncan's to everybody. And, you know, they can't tap me out.
I sat in Steve Duncan's truck, and it's the real deal. At least it was to me. You know, he turned it up. And the thing is, if you don't tap out, which is what I did, he did the first run. I just sat in the vehicle. Then he did a second run, and he takes it up a little bit further. I just sat there. Then he gets into the third run, and he got the point. I just looked at him and went.
Yeah, he got up in that high 40s and started hitting that high note.
Yeah. That's enough. I'm done. That's plenty. You win. I won't tap the dash, but I'll politely let you know I'm done. Let's call it a quit. But his truck is loud. I mean, that thing is loud.
Very, very. You'll have to experience his van when you get a chance.
I've experienced the van from outside. I don't think I want to experience it from inside. I think I'd have to be pre-lubricated with Dr. Jameson quite a bit before I'd want to do that.
It's very nasty.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. I mean, I'm excited. You know, first off, the whole thing about, you know, what guys do with their vehicles and what they're achieving is all exciting, and I take nothing away from that. But I'm excited to see what somebody's going to do with these. I'm really excited to see what someone's going to pull off using the new Solo X driver. I think it's definitely going to blow people's minds. There's obviously a whole group of people today who have no idea where Kicker came from. They have no idea about our competition routes and the trophies and awards we used to take back in the day. So it'll be interesting to see how people are going to react to this when it starts pulling off those kind of numbers, because it's going to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I look forward to it.
I know Drew is. He keeps asking just like you guys. I mean, he'll send me a private message. So what about Solo X? When's it gonna be here? When's it gonna be? Like first quarter. That's all I can say at this point.
Right.
Fingers crossed.
Yep. Absolutely. I know a lot of people are actually very excited to hear the release of the new Solo X, and they're anxiously waiting what else you guys have up your sleeve.
There's, I can't talk about everything. All I can talk about is what we're showing during this, normal SEMA release time. But, this is Solo X. I'm sure there's more to talk about soon.
I've got a good idea. The next time we do a show, next time we do this, we'll make it a Jameson party. And Kip drinks Jameson while we talk.
We got to limit how much I can have. You want a coherent conversation, right?
Right.
But I do like me some Jameson, especially on vanilla bean ice cream.
Right. See, I'm going to have to try that now.
I'm not even kidding, Billy. Just trust me. Try it. You got to get the Bluebell, that real vanilla bean. And
no problem here. We had that here in the South. A lot of it.
But I do have the blue container of the Ghirardelli salted caramel that goes along with it quite well, too.
Man, that stuff is fine.
Bluebell is right over here in Kansas City, so I get that stuff fresh.
Another reason to come to Kansas City. Okay, I hear you. I'm listening, Jimmy.
Right. All right, y'all. We're going to cut it off. You guys have any questions real quick, like in the next 5 seconds? I'll try and grab them. But thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week. This weekend, I'm going to Montgomery, Alabama for the first time. So let me just say this right quick. Won't hold you guys but a second. It's kind of expensive to get into the show. It's $60. But there's also a concert with like 5 to 10 acts there. And that $60 pays for your Base Wars entry of your first class as well. The show promoters are just paying for it for you. So anyway, Montgomery, Alabama this weekend. Thanks. We'll see you guys next Monday. Have a good night.
Have a great night.
See you, everyone.